Hello, this is Anlineoffline. Welcome back to another Casual's Quick Guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the QQ9. Introduced in Season 7 of 2020, the QQ9 is a fully automatic SMG. It has an odd name, but it's unmistakably the MP5, a mainstay in the COD franchise appearing in the multiplayers of all Modern Warfare games, Black Ops 1, Cold War, COD Online, and Infinite Warfare. Mobile seems to take after its online iteration while employing the 2019 style Gunsmith. In the aftermath of World War II, major German manufacturer Mauser fell under French occupation, and as a form of war reparation, their factories were dismantled. Former employees Heckler, Koch, and Seidel salvaged what they could and founded their own company. When FNSL refused West Germany a license to produce the FAL, Heckler and Koch would jump in with the G3 battle rifle, an improved German version of the Spanish Set-Me rifle, which was German in origin. This roller-delayed blowback design would spawn a platform of firearms and various cartridges, a semi-auto sniper rifle, an LMG, an intermediate assault rifle, and a 9mm SMG which would become the MP5. The closed bolt grants more accuracy than, say, the open bolt Uzi, and an integrally suppressed SD variant saw limited use in Vietnam, but it wasn't until the 80s did it make a name for itself. The 70s saw a rise in hostage crises, and special forces around the world needed to adapt to a more tactical approach. Operation Nimrod would forever cement the MP5 as an icon of counterterrorism. During a televised siege of the Iranian embassy in London, British SAS succeeded in rescuing the hostages. For an expensive gun, this is the publicity H&K needed to export around the world. However, by the 90s, infamous shootouts in Miami and North Hollywood put into question the 9mm's lack of stopping power and armor penetration going forward. But this is less of a criticism of the MP5 itself and more of a demand for higher calibers. HK offered the lighter but less popular UMP, which saw some use by Americans for its affinity for 45 ACP. Nowadays, the MP5's combat rule has largely been replaced by intermediate carbines and to a lesser extent PDWs. But it still continues to be the gold standard to which all subsequent SMGs are compared. Base damage per shot is moderate, killing in 4 shots up close and then gradually dropping off to 7 from afar. Because of its fast fire rate of 833 rounds per minute, your time to kill up close is fast, but assuming no range attachments, your effective range is limited to 20 meters. Shots to the head and chest deals 20% extra damage. It is technically possible to achieve a 3-shot kill in its first range if you land only shots to those areas, but I wouldn't count on it. Arms deal 10% extra damage, and can be used to extend its 4-shot potential into its second range. Legs deal 10% less damage, and is a non-issue up until its third range. Carried over from 2019, our MP5 also has access to 10mm auto rounds. Your fire rate is reduced to be similar to the PDW or 9mm AGR, but you do receive higher initial damages for an extended 4-shot range, increased range, and an increased headshot multiplier, thus allowing for a more likely chance to achieve a 3-shot kill. However, this does come with a few downsides. Other than the slower fire rate and inability to extend your mag size, you now have a slower ADS, reload, and your recoil is more moderate. In terms of mobility, the QQ9 is actually below average for an SMG, but what's special is that it has the fastest sprint out time in the game, and if you build it with no stock and a tactical barrel, it has the 3rd fastest non-melee sprint speed in the game, only behind the maxed out PPSH, and any pistol with a short barrel. Other SMGs can still outstrafe the QQ9. The base magazine size is 30 rounds and can be extended to 45. Reload cancelling is normal and can bypass the signature HK slap to the charging handle. As for bloom, the QQ9 is tied with the Switchblade and Fennec for the 2nd worst of any non-shotgun aside from the MAC-10. Combined with its low range, I would advise against taking longer gunfights. Its hipfire is average for an SMG, but because it's a consistent 4 shot to the legs, it has an advantage over its fellow aggressive SMGs. The iron sights are simple to use for its intended range, although some people take issue with its aim shake and visual recoil. Aside from that, the actual recoil is somewhat low. When the MP5 was first released as the QQ9, it was the best aggressive SMG. You could 4-shot above the legs up close, and had an absurdly fast ADS time. The Farah had just been nerfed, and the MSMC was long abandoned. You did used to have quite a bit of vertical recoil and a slower reload. Back then, before Gunsmith, the meta revolved around the cordite and mid-range flexible weapons like the KN-44. With the release of Gunsmith, the QQ9 was somewhat spared by receiving what was then average bloom. However, it received major nerfs to its arm multipliers, which made its time to kill inconsistent in challenging 3-shot ARs and during a time of slower mobility. The 10mm rounds made 4-shotting a bit more reliable, but it had its fair share of downsides. Aside from the Akimbo Phoenix for 1 month, the top SMGs were pseudo ARs. Early 2021 saw a major buff to the QQ9, which restored its original arm multipliers. For a day or two, it had absurdly fast strafing speed. This was fairly scaled back, and its bloom was nerfed to be one of the worst. Because the base version was now viable, the 10mm rounds became obsolete. But this all paved way for SMGs the following season, and the base QQ9 would go on to take a backseat when the meta rotated from the Bison to the QXR to the Fennec, AS-Val, Holger, MX9, and onwards. In order to keep up with the MAC-10, the QQ9 underwent a series of buffs throughout 2022. First, it was a minor bloom buff. It then received minor buffs to its chest multiplier, flinch, hipfire, reload, and its aim shake was slightly optimized. The Switchblade was then released as a more popular alternative with less aim shake, and both got buffed. Towards the end of the year, it did see a minor nerf for its mid-range damage, 45 round mag, and Monolithic Suppressor. At the start of 2023, its forearms matched its biceps, which helped its mid-range performance, along with small buffs to its recoil, range, and 10mm damage. And with the most recent update, we have our current damage values. As it stands, the QQ9 is currently the best aggressive SMG for its ability to consistently 4-shot to the legs with a fast firing, other than the bugged Battle Pass Razorback blueprint, which is quite ridiculous in its own right. 10mm is usable again, but it's more of a high-risk, high-reward weapon for single gunfights like the HVK with large cal. Not counting its 3-shot potential, it is similar to the PDW or 9mm AGR. Does the QQ9 need any more changes? Maybe a slight aim shake buff? I myself am not bothered by it, but it's an on-again off-again complaint on the official subreddit. As for the weapon's damage, if it becomes an issue, then reverting the base version's damage should do the trick. Otherwise, I didn't take issue with the prime MX9's 4-shot consistency, but rather its 3-shot potential. I do believe that 10mm is fine, because it actually has downsides. I know that the Mythic version just dropped, hence why it got buffed, but I do believe there was a missed opportunity to bring in a signature attachment where it becomes a briefcase as a April Fool's joke. It would probably function like the Chopper's Heavy Handle or Hades crossbar. But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's quick guide. Feel free to suggest what weapons you want to see covered next. My name is On, and I'm off.
Not a fucking word, Bill.